Welcome to Fact the Rock podcast with the Hoosier Network. I'm your host, William Stewart. Next to me is Ian Plaskoff. Across from us, Ava Wegenke. And Nick Rodecap.
That's what
Anybody
the Penn
that was
State game day experience
Anybody
is.
that was at Beaver Stadium this weekend knows that sound very well because that was played quite a bit. The vision was executed.
You think their players are sick of it?
They have to be.
I bet they are.
I feel like after a while you just tune it out.
We
It's
were
like a
walking.
nose blind.
It becomes background noise.
We were trying to get into the stadium, and the gates were just a complete mess, and they were not in alphabetical order. So we were walking around the outside of Beaver Stadium, and every 10 seconds after every ad read, we heard that sound, and it still lives in the back of my head.
What sound was that, Plaskoff?
What? I don't know. What sound was it?
Hold on.
Oh, I thought he was going to do it.
I need you guys to stall for like 2 seconds.
That was me.
I'll give you a...
That was me potentially throwing a lob.
No. I chucked the lob about 500 rows
I was
into the
throwing
seats.
a lob for him to do that.
Okay.
Oh, man, I can't believe you actually did it. I'm surprised.
We have fun here.
We try.
It's like the Carolina Panthers use it, the Florida Panthers use it, Penn State uses it.
They use it a lot.
Yeah. The Indiana Hoosiers use it. I'm kidding. I'm kidding about that.
I'd like to preface, Carolina does not use it that much
No.
because they don't move the ball that much.
And that wraps up the intro on Pack the Rock.
Yeah.
Good Lord.
Oh,
Happy
man.
Wednesday,
Fantastic
everybody.
game day opposite Penn State.
Yeah.
What was the adjective?
Fantastic.
Fantastic. All right, Fernando.
What was the word?
Fantastic.
Evidently.
Fantastic Wednesday morning here in Studio 8A in Franklin Hall at the Media School in Bloomington, Indiana. That was an all-time locator. Anyways, we weren't in Bloomington, Indiana on Saturday. Neither was the Indiana football team. We were out there in Happy Valley in Penn State. And Indiana came away with a win by really the grace of God. The 27-24 victory over the Nittany Lions, moving to 10-0, 7-0 in Big Ten play, standalone at first atop the conference. They won the game on that 10-play, 80-yard drive in the last minute and 15 seconds. They now have the number one scoring offense in the nation, averaging 44.5 points per game, the sixth in total offense, just under 500 yards a game. Fernando Mendoza had his Heisman moment. In all, he was 19 of 30 with 228 passing yards, a touchdown, and a pick right before he led that game-winning drive, funnily enough. He also added a touchdown on the ground. He's tied first in the Heisman candidate voting with Julian Sayin. He's also a first overall pick candidate, as the entire Jets front office was in Happy Valley to watch Fernando play. He's currently second in the odds, but he's also tied first in passing touchdowns in the country with 26. He's second with passer rating at 178.5. He was sacked 3 times on Saturday, which is the most in a game this season. The previous highs were 2 when he was at Iowa and against Illinois. Charlie Becker stepped up in the absence of Elijah Surratt, had 7 receptions for 118 yards, and I think he head-topped probably every corner on the field for Penn State. Nick's adding notes into the rundown. And he's
Charlie
highlighting
Becker
him.
had a very good game.
Yeah, to say the least.
How is this guy a backup?
Because Elijah Surratt's over him?
Oh, but he would be 7th on the Ohio State depth chart.
7th on the Ohio State depth chart. Who cares, man?
Dude
This kid's a true sophomore. He's playing in front of 95,000 people in State College and making catches like we haven't seen all year. Who cares where he'd be on Ohio State's depth chart?
Speaking of catches we haven't seen all year, Super Cooper.
Yeah.
Omar Cooper Jr. made arguably the greatest catch in college football history. He had 7 for 32 in that touchdown that literally won Indiana the game. He is still tied 7th in the nation with 8 receiving touchdowns. And like we just said, Surratt didn't play. IU rushing attack wasn't there per usual. Wasn't there like it has been. 30 carries for 100 yards, but still scored twice. One of those being Mendoza. The defense came up big when they needed to. Had some gash plays that they let up, but still 2 sacks, 9 tackles for loss. Fisher with a huge pick that should have led to points, but I don't think it did. I forget.
I'm pretty sure it led to a field goal.
It did lead to a field goal.
Yeah.
They're second in the nation in points per game allowed at just over 12, 5th in yards per game allowed at a little over 250, and they're 7th in the nation with 31 sacks. Indiana, like I said, barely escaping Penn State with their lives. Ian, you had an out-of-body experience in Penn State. I'm just going to let you lead with
You
that.
could say that. Regardless or disregarding anything that has to do with Indiana or anything at all, I've wanted to go to Beaver Stadium for as long as I could remember to watch a game because it's just cool. And one of my friends from high school went to Penn State for the football, and I was able to see him before the game. That was great. But just walking out of the tunnel onto that field that I wanted to go to for so long was just so cool, and the atmosphere was great. Game day ops were great. It really hit when they played Mo Bamba for the first time.
Oh, man.
And I was in front of the student section for that. Notably, Penn State has all of their speakers on the side of the student section. There is nothing on the other side of the field. And it is extremely loud. But also, I mean, just for that game to happen at that time, for the first time I was at that stadium was, I mean, I can't even put that into words. Regardless of who it was, you could put Penn State and I don't even, like, what's the name of your school, Nick?
Tennessee Catholic Baptist Central.
You could put those two teams and have that same game, and it would still be the best game I've ever been to. It doesn't even have to be Indiana or the team that I've been covering this year and following forever. So, yeah, that was cool. And to be field side for that and to be able to capture the game on my own camera and be kind of a part of that game, yeah, that was what I had been looking forward to for a long time.
I'm telling you, I think Ian's going to transfer to Penn State.
I'm not going to transfer to Penn
Dude's
State.
ready to go to Happy Valley himself.
I'm not.
Hashtag
It was a
AGTG, I am entering the transfer portal.
It was a very, very long drive to get there, and it's far away from everything. So
That it is.
Is there a Shalubi's nearby?
no,
No. Ooh.
yeah,
Yeah. Do they have Culver's nearby?
no.
Oh. Well, I'm not going to Penn State for grad school.
There you go. You just lost Nick Rodecap.
Yeah.
But Ian's still going there. Anyway. All right. The standout player, we kind of covered him a little bit. Charlie Becker. I mean, what did you guys see from him on Saturday, apart from his contested catchability being arguably the greatest on the team?
I saw. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, like, you know, I feel like you had big shoes to step into filling in for Elijah Surratt, and that there was a lot of kind of weight and expectation put on him, but I feel like he filled that out really, really nicely. And, you know, Kurt Cignetti has been really open that Indiana is thin at certain positions on this team. Granted, he's never told us exactly where, but the fact that they were able to go down to, like, now, what is he, like, 4?
He's technically wide receiver 4.
4, yeah. I mean, the fact that you're able to go down to wide receiver 4 and for him to put together a complete performance like that in front of, like Ian said, you know, all those people and really make some really clutch plays for Indiana, I think is not only good for this team, the fact that they have other people to rely on when Surratt can't play, but it just helps, you know, make this already somewhat dangerous receiving core even more dangerous because now you've got another guy that you've got to look out and prep for.
Charlie Becker had 7 catches this year. He had 7 in this game alone. He matched the season tally. And every catch that Becker made, the first one was a deep ball down the middle of the field. There was another one that was the Mahomey-looking play from Fernando on the first down.
Oh, Patrick Mahomes. No, that throw looked really Mahomey. And let me tell you, I think Fernando Mendoza, he had such a great game, Ian, let me tell you. But, Charlie Becker, he looked a little like Tyreek Hill down the field there. And here's a guy who is going to be a great wide receiver in Bloomington for a long time, let me tell you. Oh, wow.
You done that before?
No, but I had to jump on it.
That was scarily accurate. Like, if I close my eyes, that was Chris Collinsworth sitting across the table from me. At any rate, that throw from Fernando that did admittedly look Mahomey, and Becker turned his body to make the catch there. And then the 2 jump balls, and then the one where he got walloped on the hospital ball, Andrew Hillsman style. I say that from experience because I have received a hospital ball from Andrew Hillsman in flag football.
It was a flag. You didn't get hit.
I have before. At any rate, yeah, Becker made big plays. And on the biggest one on the final drive, I was on the far side, like the opposite sideline from where he made that catch.
We were on Penn State sideline.
I did not think he made that catch. I thought the ball sailed over his head, and I thought he fell on his back trying to get to it. But sure enough, he did.
He plucked it.
If Charlie Becker did not do what he did on Saturday, you could chalk this up for Indiana as like a 2-score plus loss because there was nothing else happening offensively.
Which leads me to my next question I want to ask. On the Heisman-Doza moment, on the drive, there was a little bit of discourse going on. Who did have the biggest catch? Outside of Cooper catching the touchdown, obviously. Who had the biggest catch leading up to Indiana making it into the red zone?
Riley Nowakowski.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because Fernando gets sacked. Well, okay. Fernando got sacked to start the drive. And then was it Nowakowski up the seam right after that? Or was that?
It was Cooper.
It was Cooper,
up
DJ Williams, and then Nowakowski.
Yes.
Yeah, the Nowakowski catch got them near the red zone. It made you feel like Indiana.
Nowakowski got him from midfield to like 20.
Yeah, it made you feel like they actually had a chance. When Fernando got sacked, I thought it was wraps. I thought it was done. But Nowakowski making that catch, I think that was the deepest target he's ever had in his college career. So that's not a spot he's been in before. He's a veteran, though. He's a very talented tight end. Indiana's used him a lot in the passing game this year. That was an understated part of that drive, just because every play was so important. Indiana had to have it. Nowakowski made the catch, and that was what set them up. That was what set Charlie Becker up to do whatever in the world he did, falling onto the sideline. And then Omar Cooper almost hit his head on the crossbar, which I am so proud of Omar Cooper because he went to Lawrence North High School in Indianapolis, which is about I'd say 10 minutes away from Cathedral, where I went, same age as me, which is like, okay, he's a phenomenal athlete, and here I am on Pack the Rock podcast.
Hey, man.
But Omar Cooper, Indianapolis native, stuck around after Allen got fired and made the most important play of the season so far for Indiana.
On the Nowakowski catch, I watched a film breakdown of it, and Indiana was running basically 4 verts straight up, where Nowakowski could bring his route into a post on the middle of the field. Penn State was in a Tampa 2 coverage, which had safeties on the outside, and they had the a linebacker in the middle that could kind of go wherever and play zone. And in the slot was Omar Cooper on the left side and Nowakowski on the right side. And Omar Cooper Jr. commands so much more attention than Riley Nowakowski. So that linebacker shaded over his way, which left the entire middle of the field open. And with Fernando Mendoza recognizing that, he kind of leads Nowakowski with the ball placement over the middle of the field, and it was just a perfect throw. But I would argue that's not the biggest play of the drive, other than the Cooper catch. I would argue that the Omar Cooper first down conversion immediately after the sack on a pickup of 21 yards is the biggest because it quieted the crowd and got Indiana out of that Penn State end zone with the student section, where Indiana all game long just could not do anything because that was insanely loud.
It was rough watching them down there.
So I would argue that. I mean, it's kind of it's the opposite of pick your poison. I don't know what the opposite is, but all 4 catches were crucial in their own way. So, yeah, there's no correct answer.
I feel like that's actually the best answer you could have given. It's just what was, there's not really a correct answer in that question, but still, it's more just give flowers to every receiver on the football field.
Yep.
Because it was an all-timer of a drive, which leads me to the Heisman-Doza moment. There's been the discourse going on that someone in this room might have started of, would you rather have a player who leads comeback drives or have somebody that just blows everyone out? And Ian, I'm just going to let you start this because it was your tweet.
Well, the first thing I want to say is that play, I just kind of want to talk about that play before we get into the implications of it. I don't know if I've ever seen a play like that, and I don't know if anybody has. In that situation with the implications at stake, and Fernando Mendoza doesn't really get talked about too often, but I posted it, got absolutely clobbered on that play. And it kind of looked like he was throwing the football out of the back of the end zone for safety to live another drive or live another play, but Omar Cooper Jr., I mean, Nick, you said he almost hit his head on the crossbar, which sounds like an exaggeration, but it's really not.
No.
Watching every slow-mo recap or replay of that play, every time I watch one just reinforces how absolutely ridiculous it was that was a touchdown. And credit to the referee, I can't remember his name, but taking his time, moving out of the way, and making the correct call instead of going along with the moment or rushing or, whatever. And then also just the Gus Johnson,
Wow! That was awesome.
Nobody has ever broken Gus Johnson like that. And I think the biggest sign of how much that play meant is, in the context of Indiana winning that game, extremely niche, but Indiana football got a Flight Reacts video.
Yeah. I think the back judge was the one who made the call. It was Josh Dasher.
Yes,
I believe was his name.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, for all the crap that referees get, mostly deserved for getting calls wrong, Josh Dasher nailed it. Nailed it. I did not think it was a catch at first, but cinema. He got the call right, and you're talking about an inch between that being a touchdown and it being 4th and goal from the 7 or whatever it was. The most mind-blowing play I've ever seen. Better than the Odell Beckham catch, because of the context of the game. And I think the only play that I've seen that comes close to that in terms of magnitude is either the Michael Penix stretch, which was also against Penn State.
They gave it to him.
Or the Andrew Luck fumble recovery touchdown against the Chiefs in the 2013 wildcard game, because the Colts came back from down 7 million points and beat them and beat the Chiefs at home. Those are the only 2 plays that come close. And what is it about Indiana beating Penn State in improbable fashion? Because it's happened twice in 5 years. That's incredible.
I was in absolute shock when that happened. The difference in the sound of the stadium. I mean, they listed attendance at 105. I don't think it was 105, but it was, that whole drive was obviously loud because they're trying to make Indiana mess up. And then as soon as Omar Cooper Jr. came down and the hands came up from Josh Dasher, it was like silent.
You could see so many surrender cobras.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was there.
The suspense as the review went on was
the amount of arguing I saw in the stands.
Yeah. And there was so much red in Happy Valley that Saturday. And it felt like, I don't know. I don't even know how to describe it. It was an out-of-body experience of being that close to that play and seeing everything play out. With the timing of the review, it felt like an hour. And then also on that 2nd and goal, when the ball fluttered in the air, it felt like it was in the air forever.
That could have been picked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't think I will ever witness anything like that again.
Ava, you had the bird's eye view of the touchdown grab and of obviously all the fans. What did you see?
Yeah, I mean, so Penn State had this outside deck connected to their media, the press box area. Yeah, that's the word I was trying to say, the press box. So for that final drive, I went and stood out there because I wanted to catch just the vibe and the sound and the energy of the place, because a lot of times in the press box, it's so muted, you don't understand what's going on out there. So, I mean, from my view, it looked like when Fernando threw that ball, I honestly did not, for a split second, I was like, he's not going to catch it. It just didn't seem like he was going to get it. When he did get it, from my view, there was no doubt that he was down in that end zone. It took me a second to realize that they were actually going to go back and review it, which rightfully so. I mean, that obviously determined the game. But it was more the pass that, from my view, looked a little bit maybe shakier, that it wasn't in the right place. But once he caught it and came down, from up there, it genuinely, there was no doubt that he was down in that end zone. And really, I mean, it was quite loud. From even up there outside, it was quite loud. The second that Cooper snagged that ball, I felt like that place just dropped, and it just felt very silent. And then you heard a very small cheer from, like Ian said, all of the people in red, the Indiana fans there. But from up there, the pass looked more shaky than the catch. The catch looked very much in.
Here's a slowed down and zoomed in version from my camera of this play.
you see Fernando just get blown
Just
up.
gets assaulted.
I hope he doesn't go to the Jets. Because if he does, he's going to get blown up. I mean, to be fair, Penn State had a lot of NFL caliber defensive players. But if Fernando gets blown up by NFL players like that every week, he's going to die.
Yeah, there's probably a few NFL players in that front line.
Yeah, Denai Dennis Sutton looked like a serial killer. But I think his experience at Cal helped him there. Because he was running for his life so much out west. So it's just like, oh, ho-hum. I got pressure in my face. I don't care. I'm going to make the throw of the year. Whatever. That's just kind of how he does things. And he said it after the game. I would die on that field, which...
Wild bar.
Anthony
That was
Richardson,
crazy.
take notes. That's what a quarterback should do. Not tap out of the game because, I got tired. You're supposed to be a leader. That's what Fernando Mendoza is.
I also forgot to add, I thought this was funny, sitting in that press box when the catch was made. I went straight back in afterwards to grab my stuff, and everybody was silent. And then there were some kids down in the corner, and I think they were Penn State media kids. And one of them goes, "It's like that pylon all over again," and then slammed his computer and got up, and that kind of got a chuckle out of everyone. I wanted to throw that in there.
Yeah, Indiana just throwing ways to beat Penn State. Every time they play Penn State, it's a thriller. What was it, 3 years ago now? Was it because it was Sorsby that almost led the fourth quarter?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
That was 2023, so it would have been 2 years ago.
Yeah.
That's a game a lot of people kind of forgot about. That was the only game up until the playoff last year, I think it was, that Drew Aller had thrown an interception. Was against Indiana at home in 2023. That was a 7-point game with 3 minutes left before Indiana gave up a safety.
Yep.
Yeah, that's why I remember I went on record before the season and I said Penn State does not scare me. It scared me, but I knew Indiana was going to have a chance to go in there and win because Indiana went there and almost won with a vastly inferior team.
Yeah, I have hated on Penn State this year, but I will
You
give
don't
credit.
say.
I will give credit to the Nittany Lions because that was quite the fight. I mean, there's no doubt they have NFL caliber players on their team. Ethan Grunkemeyer stepped up, played his best game of the season. Yes, Indiana was injured and lacked, or struggled with the crowd a little bit, but Penn State really did put up a good fight. And you could argue they should have won that game, but they didn't.
They were one first down away from winning.
Yeah.
Yeah, they should have won that game.
But this was the point that we led into this with of the Heisman conversation. I put out a tweet yesterday that had nothing to do with the Heisman. It's just an interesting stat. That Fernando Mendoza has thrown a fourth quarter interception in each of Indiana's 3 biggest road games, at Iowa, at Oregon, and at Penn State. The next drive after the pick at Iowa, he had a game-winning touchdown drive. The next drive after the Oregon pick, a game-winning touchdown drive. And then, obviously, at Penn State, it wasn't the next drive, but it was 2 drives later, a game-winning touchdown drive. And I put this out to say the composure that Fernando Mendoza has is impressive. He doesn't let up. He continues to keep going at it and lives the Curt Cignetti one-liner of not affected by success or failure. And a bunch of scarlet and gray folks from Columbus rated this
brother.
and said, yeah, my Heisman wouldn't put my team in the situation to farm game-winning drives for Heisman moments.
Fernando Mendoza, famously so egotistical that he wants to farm Heisman moments. I mean, good Lord.
I fully recognize that it's not good to throw fourth-quarter picks in one-score games on the road. But it does say something about your quarterback when he's able to pull out wins in all of the 3 times that he's done it in notably tough environments, in Kinnick, at Autzen, and at Beaver Stadium. Not many quarterbacks are going to do that, but it does bring up the debate of, is it better for a Heisman campaign to be on a super team where you don't really have to try and you just put up numbers, or when you are on a team like Indiana, which you could argue is a super team, but it wasn't against Penn State because of all the injuries, where you are able to lead your team in tough moments on the road to victory and pull out close games and still be undefeated while putting up similar stat. Like Ohio State fans were saying that, I would rather have a quarterback that doesn't throw picks. Julian Sayin has 1 fewer pick than Fernando Mendoza. It's 5-4. And Fernando Mendoza has 5 more total touchdowns than Julian Sayin does.
That's the thing. Fernando Mendoza is a much better rusher than Julian Sayin because Mendoza's legs are actually a factor. Julian Sayin has rushed for 21 yards on the season with no touchdowns. And if the Heisman is going to be the measure of the best player in college football, you need to take into account the whole body of work. And part of that for Mendoza is his rushing ability. And, it's tough because you can see both sides of it, right? But if you're going to go by raw numbers in the passing game, Julian Sayin has been out there. I believe he has finished more games than Fernando Mendoza has.
It's got like an extra quarter or an extra game and a half or something.
Because Mendoza did not play the entire game against Kennesaw State, Indiana State, Illinois. This is just off the top of my head. UCLA or Maryland. That's 5 games where he did not finish the fourth quarter, and he's still putting up comparable numbers to Julian Sayin. And oh, by the way, he is not throwing to Jeremiah Smith and Carnell Tate.
Yeah, but he's throwing to Elijah Surratt and Mark Cooper Jr.
Well, he's not. He hasn't thrown to Elijah Surratt in 2 games.
That's true.
You can also add Michigan State to the fourth quarter not playing.
Yeah, and he still put up 330 yards and 4 touchdowns and didn't even play the whole game.
Well, and here's the thing. You're talking about like comparable stat. He's thrown more touchdowns than Sayin. He's got 150 less. 150 less yards. 149 if you want to get exact.
And that's
It's not like they're not. It's not like it's comparable. Like Fernando's just been more effective.
The funniest.
It's also on. It's the same amount of attempts, but his completion percentage is worse.
The funniest thing ever would be if Ohio State fans are going to be peacocking about how Julian Sayin deserves this and Jeremiah Smith deserves that, and then they lose to Michigan. So Ohio State doesn't even make the Big Ten championship game, and then Fernando Mendoza wins the Heisman by default.
Well, then Michigan probably makes the playoffs.
That would be so funny because I think a lot of people are kind of just assuming that the Big Ten championship is going to be Ohio State and Michigan. Ryan Day hasn't beaten Michigan since 2019, if memory serves me correctly.
4 years.
It's been a long time.
A very long time.
And why are we assuming that Ohio State's just going to go into the big house and beat the Maize and Blue? It would be so funny if the Big Ten championship ends up being Indiana against someone besides Ohio State, because I have a lot of respect for Ohio State football. I have a lot of respect for the tradition. The Horseshoe is an incredible venue. But, dude, they are some of the most pretentious, self-absorbed people. They think they're better than everyone. And it would be so funny for Michigan to just put them in their place again. The Ohio State University. The little brother of Michigan since Ryan Day's been coaching there. So.
1-4 since Ryan Day's been there.
Yeah,
He
isn't
won
that
his
funny?
Coaching debut.
Isn't that funny?
They just get
Google-
mad
hold
when
on,
you
wait,
don't
wait.
talk about them.
Google AI's overview of Ryan Day versus Michigan. I'm reading this verbatim. Stink, stank, stunk. Not even kidding.
Ryan Day is the Nick Saban of James Franklin's.
That is Google
Wow.
AI's overview of Ryan Day versus Michigan.
Let's revisit that comment.
Ryan Day is the Nick Saban of James Franklin's. And yes, he won the national championship last year, and James Franklin never did that. That's why he is the Nick Saban of James Franklin's, because Nick Saban won a national championship or 2, or so I'm told. Can't be Michigan. A lot of Michigan fans were like, you know what? We're happy beating Ohio State and then winning the ReliaQuest Bowl against Alabama, which was also really funny. Mr. SEC is better than everyone crowd. Yeah, that was funny. But no, if Ryan Day, it's not justified. But I can see a world where Ohio State fans are calling for Ryan Day's head if he loses to Michigan this year. Because that's how bipolar they are. They were posting his address online.
They were last
after
year.
they lost to Oregon.
Oh.
Yeah. They were posting Ryan Day's address online after Ohio State lost by 1 point at Autzen Stadium last year. That's a normal thing for a fan base to do.
Yeah.
You can sense the sarcasm in my
Totally
voice.
rational.
Yeah, that's a very normal thing to do. That's a very well-adjusted thing to do from the fine folks at the Ohio State University. How about you worry about beating the Maize and Blue before you talk about the Heisman campaign? Because if you do, it's going to come down to December 6th in Indianapolis. Let me tell you, I will be seated because that's in my backyard.
I think Nick likes Ohio State.
Tell him.
I think Nick really likes Ohio State.
I was
from what
not
I'm
impressed by Columbus when I went. I've been to Columbus a lot. I have never been impressed by it. It's like Indianapolis, but worse.
Now he's just dunking on
second that.
Yeah,
My
not
brother,
impressive.
my
shoe
brother
is a
went to
different
Ohio
story.
State. I've been there many times. Not a
Not
fan.
impressive.
Not a
The
fan.
shoe is really cool.
The shoe's a different
The city
story.
as a whole is not impressive.
Fun fact, my brother went to Ohio State for the 4 years which they have consecutively lost to Michigan the past 4 years.
Ain't that something?
So if they win this year, is your brother the bad luck charm?
I don't know. He doesn't really care.
Oh, okay.
I mean, a little bit. He's not a sports guy.
It's like the graph of Nicolas Cage movies and shark attacks, where the correlation is identical,
It's a
but
wild pull. But yeah, I've
correlation
seen
does
that.
not equal causation.
No. All right, moving on from the Heisman candidate situation.
Oh, one more thing.
Oh, I guess not.
If there is potentially something that Indiana is to put out for a Heisman campaign, we'll revisit it next week. That's
way
all I
to
will
make
say.
the most vague comment of all time.
Gotta get
Plaskoff.
We got to get you to a tease writing class.
Yeah. Okay. Well.
Coming
yeah,
up
we're
next.
We're just gonna leave it at
Fernando
that.
gonna leave it
Mendoza's
at that.
Heisman campaign and a certain Path
If-
the Rock connection that may or may not come to fruition.
If perchance Indiana football is to put a Heisman campaign out, there's an important detail that we will revisit next week.
There you go.
Depending on the type of content they put out,
There you go.
we got there.
Get the people going.
We'll get to it, but it's not important till the bye week because it'll be something else to talk about.
Can we talk about how late the bye week is?
No,
It was the same thing last
blows.
year.
No.
No,
It was before Ohio State last year.
our bye week last year would have been this upcoming weekend.
Yeah.
Because
Okay, so it's a week later.
Yeah, but it just feels I don't know, it just feels really late. Yeah, November 22nd being your bye. That's bad news for Purdue because as opposed to going into that game on 6 days rest, Indiana's going in on 13 days rest.
Yeah.
But
I
man,
think it's good. I
Yeah.
think having a bye week with one game left in the season is basically, and that one game being Purdue, which, I mean, who knows? It could be a good game, but I don't anticipate it being that way. It's basically or essentially just another week of break before postseason play and before the Big Ten championship game. I know this team doesn't think like that, but it's time to get healthy.
They thought like that making the schedule, though.
Assuming that Indiana's going to rest some guys against Purdue, at least in the second half, having that extra week of rest before to get guys healthy will be important for long term.
But again, that's not for another week.
Correct.
Because this week is Wisconsin. But before we get to Wisconsin, threw up a W, it's nuts.
That's the Wisconsin.
I'm aware. College football predictions came out last night. Indiana once again lands at number 2. The Ohio State University is at number 1. Oregon is up to 8. Notre Dame up to 9. USC is the first out, and Michigan is still in the mix. So they win that game versus Ohio State. You could see maize and blue in the playoffs. The AP poll as well. Indiana still at number 2 in the country. OSU at 1. Oregon up to 7. USC at 17. Michigan at 18. And Iowa and Illinois are receiving votes. So the Big Ten's got a decent bit of showing going on. Is there any opinions around the room on either one of those results, or they're pretty similar to last week?
I'm not really shocked. I think that it's expected that Indiana comes in at number 2 again. Like we said last week, how do you jump number 1, who is
Right.
the reigning national champion,
And hasn't lost.
and hasn't lost? It's difficult, especially because Indiana lost so close to Penn State. A lot of people argued that Texas A&M should have been 2. So I really don't think that Indiana.
Lane Kiffin did that.
Quality loss, though.
I don't think that
Quality loss.
Indiana was going to necessarily jump to number 1. I fully expected them to be at 2. I think 2 is an okay place for them to be. However, it does
That's all right.
it does sit them
cool.
playing the winner of Ole Miss and Texas if the playoff were to happen this weekend. Very interesting. Very interesting.
I thought that the Big Ten was closer to the ACC than it was the SEC, Joey Galloway, because it lacked depth. That sounds like a lot of depth in the college football playoff poll.
It's about 4 of them, or 3 of them. If Michigan makes it, it's 4 of them.
And you have Iowa on the ropes there. You have, the Big Ten is good. It's not, the ACC is terrible. The ACC is locked into a media deal that is not supplementary to what they need as an athletic conference, and the ACC will struggle for the next 16 years because they're locked into that deal.
Florida State and Clemson wanted to leave so bad, but then their football teams started sucking, so now it seems less likely that they can leave.
Yeah.
It was Kirk Herbstreit who was there. Who else said that?
It was the show with Herbie and Joey Galloway.
2 of the biggest clowns at ESPN. There's your answer. That's why they say that. Because Joey Galloway
Herbie said the SEC. Joey Galloway said the ACC.
Okay. Kirk gets a pass. But let's not forget last year when he said at Notre Dame that he was questioning whether or not Indiana even deserved to be in the playoff. And then the next night, Tennessee, which represented the conference that ESPN goes to bat for, got walloped by Ohio State. But Joey Galloway in the first CFP ranking show was talking about how we need to look at the analytics because Texas A&M is better than Indiana in all the analytics. And you look at the models and where? ESPN's own model that they love to push. I'm not saying it's good, but ESPN's own model that they push so just brazenly is the FPI had Indiana above A&M. You look at damn near any model, pardon my French, save for strength of schedule, which is a largely preseason metric-based model that heavily favors the SEC and is virtually useless in the transfer portal era. That's the only one where Texas A&M was better than Indiana at the time. And I think maybe one spot better in strength of record, but that's negligible. It does not surprise me that Joey Galloway said that because he has this he's got this tunnel vision, hatred for Indiana. And it's just kind of puzzling because he played at Ohio State. You'd think he'd go to bat for the Big Ten because of his football history. But no, he was pointing to the umbrella term analytics, had nothing to back it up. So it doesn't surprise me that he tries to say the Big Ten is closer to the ACC. How many teams has the ACC had in the national championship game in the last 2 years?
Approximately 0.
0. Oh, that's interesting. How many teams have won the national championship in the last 2 years? 2.
2.
That would make sense. Yep.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. And I know why are you just saying the last 2 years? Because the last 2 years, that's where you're seeing the longer term impact of NIL. Now, 2020, that have been 2021 and 22, when Georgia went back to back, that was NIL was legal, but you didn't see the impact of it yet as much as you do now. Again, it does not surprise me that Galloway said that, but he's very, very flawed in arguments he tries to make.
There is a weird situation that if Duke wins the ACC as a 4-loss team, which is entirely possible, that the ACC could miss out on the college football playoff entirely because they would not be one of the highest ranked conference champions.
And they don't get the at-large because they lost 4 games, including to, who did they lose to last week? UConn?
I have no idea.
I think they lost to UConn last week. It was 37-34. Joe Fagnano, who, by the way, is a 6th-year senior.
37-34 to UConn.
Yeah. Joe Fagnano, 25 touchdown passes, no picks. But he's a 6th-year senior, but still. UConn's got something.
Yeah.
Open.
Their schedule, though, is not
Yeah, they're independent,
impressive.
and they're not Notre Dame. So they do not get a pass for having a soft, independent schedule. But shout out UConn, man. Inspirational.
Well, moving on from the playoff in AP poll where Indiana, well, first the injury bug. We'll mention this before we get to the preview for next week. Elijah Surratt was obviously out for Penn State. He is still listed as day-to-day. And then Drew Evans is out again this week, and Sig said he's going to be out a few weeks. Was that was the wording that I read?
I'm kind of concerned. Yeah. I'm concerned at how hush-hush they're being about Drew Evans.
Yeah.
Because last year he tore his Achilles, and they put out a press release for that. But the language sounds kind of similar to what he used when he first talked about Kellen Wyatt's injury, in that we won't see Kellen Wyatt for a while turned into he's out for the season.
Right.
And because of how close they keep things to their chest here, I think we're going to have to wait for the availability report on Saturday, but I think that's going to be very telling. I don't know. It's a good thing for Indiana that the bye week is this late in the year, and that after the Big Ten Championship, you're probably going to have about 4 weeks until you play again. I don't think we'll see Drew Evans until the CFP. That's just kind of the vibe I get. And Fernando Mendoza got sacked 3 times against Penn State. Indiana's run game had nothing. Couldn't get anything going in the screen game either with Omar Cooper. And a lot of that is because Surratt is out. But whether it's Adita Mola Ajani or Zen Mahalski, that left guard spot is the weakest link on Indiana's offensive line.
And it is noticeable.
Yes, it is. And if they play Ohio State or whoever they play in the Big Ten Championship game, whoever they play in the playoff, if Drew Evans is still not back, they are going to get eaten alive at left guard. Because those guys, really, really skilled defensive linemen, regardless of who you play at that point in the year. And it is something to keep an eye on.
It's important to know Ajani played against Penn State because Mahalski got injured late in the week. And he was able to play at Penn State, but didn't get the late week practice reps. So coaching staff put in Johnny at left guard. Mahalski got the day off, which allowed
I
him
think
to
he
get
played
more
like
healthy.
he played like 2 snaps.
Yeah, I mean, it was
negligible.
nothing significant.
Yeah.
But you could expect Mahalski to be back probably this week.
And the good thing about Wisconsin being turbo garbanzo beans is that Indiana's first teamers might not play after the second quarter. And yes, Wisconsin is that bad.
Yeah.
That's a good thing for Indiana. And then the same thing against Purdue also. But it depends how much does Sig want to run up the score against Purdue at their place.
Probably a lot.
Yeah.
Probably a lot.
Yeah. 66-0 again? I think it's on the table.
You also have to think about the Heisman farming.
Yes.
I was going to say these next 2 weeks are the weeks for Indiana to stat pad their resume for the college football playoff, for Fernando's Heisman, for just about every metric of voting that there is. Which leads us to the Wisconsin preview. They are a 3-6 football team, 1-5 in conference. They're coming off their first win in Big Ten play.
Hey,
Good job, Wisconsin.
Yeah, let's go Badgers.
That's what I'm talking about. Hey, they're better than 3 other teams in the Big Ten who are still winless.
Whew.
Notably Michigan State.
Michigan State, Purdue, and Penn State.
He's going to be out of the job, y'all.
Yeah,
Jonathan
Smith's
Smith.
going to be out of there.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Aiden Childs, welcome to Bloomington.
And back to the Wisconsin preview, hopefully. True freshman Carter Smith, he is the newest starting quarterback, maybe, of the Wisconsin Badgers because their starting quarterback in Billy Edwards is notably out for the season. And Danny O'Neill, native of Indianapolis.
Cathedral High School graduate, state champion, and he tore his Achilles.
Yeah, potentially.
No,
it's still not
it's-
officially announced. But
He tore his Achilles.
he posted a picture of Kobe Bryant taking when he was taking the free throws with the torn Achilles on his own Instagram after he went out, was carted off
Yeah.
in the 13-10 win over number 23 Washington last week. Notably, the offense of Wisconsin is terrible. It's just bad.
Yeah.
It's just straight up
I was
bad.
looking at the numbers. Third worst scoring offense, not in the Big Ten, but in the country.
Yeah.
12.6 points per game. Only Northern Illinois and UMass are worse. And Nevada and Oklahoma State are just ahead of them.
Yeah. It's bad football up there in Madison on the offensive side of the ball. Carter Smith versus Washington, because this is the only time that anyone has seen him play this season. He was 3 for 12 for 8 yards. Yeah,
it is worth noting.
I said 8 yards.
The weather was awful.
Not until the fourth quarter.
Okay, that's when I turned on the game, so I
Same.
apologize.
I have nothing before the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
Not until it was actually fine until the fourth quarter,
Yeah.
which led to Wisconsin's punter having the most passing yards for Wisconsin as a team. He had a 24-yard fake punt pass completion.
Yeah.
The one thing Carter Smith can do is run the ball. He ran 15 times for 47 yards and did score after their defense forced a turnover, and they got the ball inside the 10-yard line. Hunter Simmons is the other option that could roll out against Indiana. He is 48 for 95 on the year for 485 yards, 2 touchdowns to 5 picks, and he's not very mobile, which does not bode well for Wisconsin's offense, as they do like to run the ball. Like to run the ball might be an understatement because they have ran the ball much more than they have passed it. 320 carries to 215 passing attempts on the year. Carter Smith was basically lined up in either pistol or shotgun. Occasionally was in single back on the goal line when it was in I form or in short yardage formations. They will run a lot of options. It's either going to be a fullback handoff, which could potentially turn into a triple option in that sense. Lots of read options as well for Carter Smith in the Wisconsin offense. But this is their quarterback stats on the year, or this is their offensive stats on the year. They have 6 rushing touchdowns to 7 passing touchdowns.
He's
I'm
done
sorry-
it again.
I'm sorry.
He's done it again.
Did you? That had to be intentional.
There's also 10. I wish it was. There's also 10 interceptions thrown by the quarterback room on the year. They have 7 passing touchdowns to 10 interceptions between 4 quarterbacks.
Ouch.
Yeah, like I said, the offense is terrible. It just really is. There's no way to sugarcoat that as much as I wish I could. Their defense is actually it could be very good. Statistically, it's middle of the pack, but they've also played. I'll get to their schedule real quick. They have played at number 19, who was number 19 Alabama. They played at Bama. They played at Michigan. They had to host Iowa. They had to host Ohio State. They had to go to Oregon in Austin Stadium and then host Washington, and now have to play in Memorial Stadium against Indiana.
Cignetti called it murderer's row.
Yeah, that's
And-
an understatement.
Yeah, I think of this Wisconsin schedule as I think of last year's Purdue schedule, where it's clearly a down year for them as a program.
Right.
But then you compound that by having to play one of the toughest schedules in the conference.
And that country.
Yeah, and this is where the whole super conference scheduling parity thing, it really rears its ugly head. There is no scheduling parity. Like, Indiana has taken advantage of a relatively easy Big Ten schedule,
At least compared to Wisconsin.
especially last year. And this year, compared to teams like Wisconsin, it is, it's bad.
It's rough.
Like, it's really, really bad. Wisconsin, per ESPN, has the second best strength of schedule in the country. That is how hard this year has been for them. Florida's 1, LSU 3, South Carolina 4, Auburn 5. Yeah, they didn't get any favors with the schedule draw.
Right.
And, coaches like Luke Fickell's not going to make any excuses, but between the quarterback injuries, which have been a problem for his whole tenure in Madison, and the schedule draw, it has been awful for them. And, oh, by the way, Wisconsin could have tried to interview Curt Cignetti in 2022, but they didn't even give him an interview when their coaching vacancy was there because he didn't have any Power 4 coaching experience. They could have had Curt Cignetti a year before Indiana hired him.
Nice.
And they did not even give him a chance.
Well, back to Wisconsin's defense that evidently could have been better if they hired Curt Cignetti. They run a 4-3, and statistically it's middle of the pack in the conference statistically, and honestly, they're in the top 50 nationally. They've hold teams to roughly 250 yards per game. They held Washington 250 yards, obviously 10 points. Held Oregon to 330 yards and 21 points, which Indiana held their offense to, 13? So they let up an extra touchdown. Not a bad showing from the Wisconsin defense, and that was also in Autzen. They are actually led by a true freshman linebacker in Mason Posa, who is the reigning Big Ten Defensive Player of the Week as well. He had a strip sack that led to Wisconsin's only touchdown of that game last week. Indiana will play Wisconsin at noon on BTN on Saturday. It's also senior day, and which I think the list is probably nearly 20 players are going to be.
It's going to be a long
celebrated.
ceremony.
It's going to be a long ceremony if you're getting into the game early. Be prepared to watch a lot of flowers and a lot of tears before this football game is played, specifically from players and parents.
Yes, very excited. Aiden Fisher said he'll probably get emotional. Last night at
would
player
assume most players
conferences,
will.
he's like standing up there with my mom and my sisters and my stepdad. I'll probably get pretty emotional. I think it'll be an interesting moment, and it's kind of like it almost feels like an end of an era of like these players that came in and helped kind of flip
The
this
JMU guys.
Indiana program around. In a sense.
No, that's a fair assessment. It's a lot of the JMU guys who came in with Cignetti and they're not turn it around. I mean, there's no other way to put that.
And also
One of
the
the greatest
one-
turnarounds in college football history.
The 1-year rentals from the other schools that saw an opportunity to come in, like a Stephen Daly type player, like a Hosea Wheeler, guys like that are coming in to, like a Lou Moore as well, coming back.
Cedric Benson.
It's like the young guys are ready to step up, but these are the foundational pieces that built the new Indiana football into what it is now, and this is kind of a good way to honor them. It's more than just a senior day. It's kind of like a thank you for doing this type of thing.
Well, obviously senior day is going to be an emotional day, but how do we see them playing this down year Badgers squad?
Well, we have seen Indiana go up against offenses that primarily run the ball and struggle with passing, and we've seen Indiana go against teams that primarily pass and struggle with running. And when Indiana plays a one-dimensional offense, it does not tend to go well for the offense, especially when these teams are run-heavy because Indiana prides itself on stopping the run. So I don't see Wisconsin doing much offensively. I think maybe they could find something in the second half when the third stringers are in the game, but this offense is, one, extremely predictable, and two, lacks star power, and I don't see it going well. Defensively, I think they could put up a fight, but there's no way that Wisconsin can get anything going offensively in this game.
That feels like a very fair assessment, and that's about really all we need to say, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's gonna be a long day for the Wisconsin Badgers on Saturday. I feel like that's the way to put it, huh? Well, since Wisconsin, the overview was pretty quick, that leads us to the record prediction update, which has found itself in a stalemate once again. And first, per usual, I don't even know if I need to say it anymore. It's Ava Wegenke, once again, 13 points in first place, ahead of solely second place, Ian Plaskoff with 12. Oh, you didn't get the thing out. You didn't want to. I thought he was just going to do the pom-pom instead of wave. Now he's got the pom-pom.
Crazy.
Took a little
Second
bit to get there.
place. Second place.
In third place, myself with 10. And then in fourth. Wow, I almost said first.
Now you're predicting the future here. Yeah, I'm one 8-pointer away.
What perfect week.
Yeah, one perfect week. 98% of gamblers quit before they win big.
What's your score prediction for this week, Mr. Perfect Week?
That's a great question. I'll let you know when I got one. No, I got it right now. Indiana likes scoring 56 points against bad teams, or somewhere in the mid-50s. So I'm going to say this game is 59-6. Indiana over Wisconsin. Badgers score 2 field goals, but that's it.
Ava, we're just going to go around the horn.
56-6 Indiana.
Plaskoff.
I think Wisconsin will only score when the backups and third stringers are in the fourth quarter, and I think that score will be a field goal. I don't think Indiana will put up 50 because they're going to run every play in the second half, and I will go 45-3 Indiana.
I disagree. I think the Alberto Mendoza show shows up.
Ooh.
Alberto's going to start slinging that rock in the second half.
Ooh.
I'm going to go 63 to, do I say 3? I'm going to be that disrespectful.
That's why I added on
Yeah,
extra
I'll
They
field
go-
goal.
average 6 per game, so it's realistic.
Yeah, I'm gonna go 63 to 3. I think it's gonna be pretty disrespectful. They're gonna get their get back from the 83 to 20 game.
Yeah.
Of what year was that?
That was 2010, 2011.
Yeah.
And then they came to Bloomington, and I remember I was at this game when Wisconsin won. I actually want to look it up because it was bad. It was the first IU football game I ever went to. I have a very vague memory that it was 2012. Indiana lost 62-14. I was at that game, sitting near the Knothole Kids Club.
Oh, throwback.
Yeah, Monte Ball was the starting running back for Wisconsin in that game. I remember there were some signs that IU students had made speaking with how they felt about Monte Ball, and I can't repeat that sign here. But Indiana's going to get revenge for that game and then the 83-20 game, and it's going to be double revenge because who was the head coach for Wisconsin in those games? Anyone? Brett Bielema.
Was it actually?
Oh.
Yep. That was part of why Indiana ran it up against Illinois. Sorry, Bert. So yeah, Indiana's going to get revenge again, this time on the institution rather than the coach. And it's IU fans who suffer through those games are going to be feeling pretty good.
I just don't think they're going to, obviously you need to support the Heisman campaign, but Cignetti has
I don't
been
think
so,
they care about that. I'm be so for
well,
real
he
with
doesn't.
you.
No.
Cignetti does not care. But he's been so adamant about, in the second half when they're up big, taking as much time as possible, running the ball, playing it safe to get the game over with as quick as possible. And I think they're going to do that again.
I still think they sling the rock.
They're going to sling the rock in the first half, and maybe they're
I
up
think
45
I think
nothing
you
in
let
the first
Alberto
half.
sling the rock. Why not?
We'll
I
see.
hope they air it out in the second half. Otherwise, Luke Brenneman's going to have a tough time calling that.
Oof.
That's why I'm glad I got the first half.
Oof.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, it'll be an ugly one. I feel like that's the safe way to put that on Saturday.
I think there's only one way to wrap this up.
I know what he's thinking too.
I don't.
I will stall time
You gonna tell him to
as
get his
Nick
phone
has
out?
got his phone.
Yeah.
Oh, I get what you're. I see what. I see what
Or
you're.
we
getting
could
at
all
now.
do it at the same time.
No.
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 Oh.
Negative.
No.
No.
I'm
Here's a
actually
thought.
shocked.
Guys,
you
it's
did.
our last game as students in Memorial. Well, not Ian. You have another
Yeah, you got
year.
another year.
It's our last game as students in Memorial Stadium on Saturday. That's kind of crazy.
Yeah. It is.
Sad.
Ain't that some?
Sad.
Time flies when you're having fun.
It's the
Another-
unction in this podcast studio.
Another win for
apparently.
the Rook.
The real
Okay, Ian.
the real season begins in December. That's what the real season.
That was wild.
Yeah.
That was nuts, Plaskoff. All right, Nick's your phone ready to go.
Yeah, we're ready.
All right. Well, thank you all for joining us this week on Pack the Rock podcast. Across from me is Nick Rodecap. Next to him is Ava Wegenke. And across from her is the Rook, Ian Plaskoff. You didn't have the pom-pom.
Man,
we already did the pom-pom. We did the pom-pom.
Forgot the pom-pom again. And I'm your host, William Stewart, with the Hoosier Network. We thank you all for joining us this week. Make sure to follow along with us for all your Indiana football updates and needs. And make sure to follow along with the Hoosier Network for all your Indiana athletics updates. We'll see you all next week.